maintain law and order at the highest level, or we will cease to have a country. 100%. We will cease to have a country. I am the law and order candidate.
And he drew a contrast there, as we played you earlier, between himself and Hillary Clinton, and saying she is not. And joining us now is John Sununu. He's the former governor of the great state of New Hampshire, former chief of staff to President George H.W. Bush, and author, of course, of The Quiet Man, the Indispensable Presidency of George H.W. Bush. Governor, welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I always appreciate you joining us. So let me ask you about, we have what happened with the horrific occurrences with the police, but what Trump was referring to there mostly was he drew a contrast between himself and Hillary when it came to her emails and what the FBI director said, et cetera. He went on to discuss the police stuff. But is he going to be able to convince the American public, most of whom are unhappy, the poll shows today, with what Comey decided? They thought she should be charged, but also most of those people aren't going to change their vote because of it.
Well, it's not true that it's not going to have an impact. 28%, I think, said they might change their vote against her, and 10% said that it might change it for her. So there's a big difference in those for whom there is some potential change. There's an 18% change against her. So she's got real problems, and what really is her biggest problem is that the whole issue of the emails, the whole issue of the server, just makes even deeper the perception that American voters already have about Mrs. Clinton. They already suspect there's something fishy about this lady's dealings from the time she had the Whitewater problem to all the strange dealings in the White House to the Clinton Foundation, and this just reinforces it. So Trump is not having to create an issue. All he's got to do is keep rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And if you go back, I mean, there's a video out there now that refreshed my memory with the firing of the travel staff, then having to put them back. And, right on down, Cattle Futures, Whitewater, right on down the line. I mean, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, she almost got indicted over some of her legal practice at one point, and that's going to come out too. So she is going to have to deal with this issue of character, and I personally think it's going to be the most powerful issue in the campaign.
All right, let me ask you a couple of things here, and one is tomorrow Bernie Sanders is reportedly going to throw his endorsement officially to Hillary Clinton. He said 80% of what he wanted in the platform. How much is that going to matter? What percentage do you think, and you don't have to give me a number, of Bernie supporters, staunch Bernie supporters, may not vote for Hillary?
Well, I've seen all kinds of polls on that, actually. I think 85% of them said they would. So I'm guessing that she's going to lose about 10 to 15% of maybe 30% of the voters. So she's going to lose close to 4 or 5% net in the process. Now, that's today. Between today and November election is a long, long time. And she obviously is going to work hard to try and cultivate them. So it might even end up being less than that. If we're, as Republicans, hoping that the Bernie voters are going to save us by not voting, I think we better have a better strategy than that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You think any of the Bernie voters will go to Trump? Because on certain issues, no, not at all?
I don't think so. I think that's a myth. I think the Bernie voters are so much committed to a free lunch socialist society that by the time the campaign is gotten into November, they'll know that Donald Trump is not a free lunch candidate.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let me ask you this about the vice presidential pick. Earlier we had General Flynn on the show. He's been talked about as being a VP pick. But I was told last week, and broke it here on Newsmax, and now today thehill.com says it's 95% certain that it's going to be Governor Pence. I spoke to Stephen Moore earlier today, who flew, it was with Donald Trump last week in Washington, and he said on the plane back, Donald Trump was asking him and the people on the plane, what do you think of Governor Pence? So what would you say to a Pence selection? How does that help him, hurt him?
Of all the potential candidates, I think Governor Pence is absolutely the best choice of all the ones that have been put in the press. And I think having a governor there, I'm very partial to governors in knowing how to run the executive branch. I think if it is true that Governor Pence would be the vice presidential nominee, I think that's a tremendous boost for the Trump ticket.
And as a, you know, he's also infatuated with the general. You know, he has he supposedly he's been going around saying Trump Flynn. How does it sound? But you think someone with the credentials of Governor and former Congressman Pence rather than General Flynn would benefit the ticket and be a better vice president?
Look, you can't have two inexperienced candidates on the ticket. General Flynn might be a good guy and might find a place, and perhaps he wants to run for the Senate or something. But my message, if anybody really wants any advice on this, my message is you cannot have two people that have never been through the political process on the ticket.
Governor, it is always great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.